YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with week 3 college football pick'ems. We do this pick'ems video every single week, along with plenty of NFL content every single week, and we have the new series, College Football Power Rankings, on every Friday. Hopefully you can join us for all of that. Right before we get started, we do have a subscriber goal of 40K, so please help us out. Again, we got plenty of NFL and college football content, so subscribe, turn notifications on, click that like button. Check us out on Twitter. Live tweet a lot of college and NFL games. But to the pick'ems. So we got a group going on. Link in the description if you still want to join it. Not really too late. You may be a little behind, but last week, I don't want to talk about mine last week. 22nd right now. Not so hot. Was 100% through quite a few games, and about the last 3 or 4, just it went south. It went south. But first place is ESPN Fan 5-6, a bunch of numbers. We'll call him Buffs for Life. That's the owner. Buffs for Life with 89 total points. 89. Got a 2-point lead over the next group of guys. There's quite a few. There's 2 of you tied with 87. Then there's a gap. So we got 3 guys at the top. There they are. Those are the guys to catch. Yeah, they got a pretty decent lead. And you got the 4th place at 83. It's getting pretty comfy up there, but we got a lot of football left. Week 3, I think, will be a little easier than week 2. Because I said that, it'll probably be a disaster again. But a little easier than last week. Last week, a bunch of tough games to pick. My upsets were really going well. Some of the other games were not. So we'll start at the top. Then we'll move the confidence around. We'll also take a look at some other big games that are not on here. Kansas State and Mississippi State. It's a noon game in Mississippi State. I think I know where I'm going with this one. But I want to take a look at, 82% of the people out there are taking Mississippi State. I'm actually feeling Kansas State. So here we go with the upsets again. I'm feeling Kansas State. Mississippi State's kind of been a little shaky so far. I know it's early in the season. If you remember, Kansas State was one of my teams to watch, like those sneaky wildcard teams to watch, possibly for maybe a top 25 team like down the line. I like Skylar Thompson, their quarterback. He was really balling as a freshman last year. Wasn't super impressed, but I know the potential that he has. So I do like Kansas State, the upset. Wonder what the line is on that game. You know, I'm surprised that many people are picking Mississippi State. But on to the next game, we'll order the confidence after Ohio State and Indiana. I'm going to go to Ohio State. So that one's pretty clear cut. You never know. Big Ten, somewhat rival game in Indiana. Could go either way. Ohio State. I like Ohio State. They looked pretty good last week against Cincinnati, who I think is a pretty good ball team. Stanford and Central Florida. Yeah, Stanford. Unfortunate injuries really everywhere, too. Now Walker Little, too, who's supposed to be a top draft pick, one of the top linemen in the draft, that goes down. Central Florida. I like this game. You know, I wish Stanford was 100% healthy because this is kind of a weird scheduled game. You know, you don't really expect this matchup, and it's a pretty good matchup. But with the injuries and it being in UCF, I think UCF being the better team right now, I got to go with Central Florida. It still could be a solid game. USC and BYU. Man, that BYU-Tennessee game was crazy. Really, Tennessee had that wrapped up. BYU with a crazy comeback there at the end. That was surprising. And USC looked pretty darn good against Stanford last week. Looked pretty darn good. I'm impressed with them. I really like their receiver unit. That was impressive. The defense over the years has, actually seemed to get better. It's odd. Pac-12 teams just haven't had that many good defenses until all of a sudden. It's almost like Pac-12 teams are just better defensively, but USC still has their offense. And JT Daniels goes down, and I start to doubt them, especially last week against Stanford. And Slovis is the true freshman USC quarterback, has just been lights out. Unreal last week against Stanford. So I like the Trojans in this game. It's weird to say, but they may have gotten better. Slovis can play. That's one for the future to watch out for. So I do like USC in that game. Alabama and South Carolina, no brainer. Alabama here. Bentley's out for South Carolina. It doesn't matter anyways. Taking Alabama. Iowa and Iowa State, big rival game. A lot of people picking Iowa here. 80% picking Iowa. It is in Iowa State. I feel like Iowa wins this game most of the time, but I'm going with Iowa State. I'm feeling Iowa State in this one. I like this team. I like both teams. Going into this season, I was a little higher on Iowa State. A little disappointing against Northern Iowa a week ago, or first week, I should say. Then they had a bye week, and I think people are just kind of looking at that too much. They played an FCS team. They went to, was a triple overtime. They struggled with them. They couldn't really put points on the board. So people are kind of thinking that way, and people know Iowa's a pretty solid team. I just think Iowa staying at home. I think the bye week helps, and Northern Iowa's a better team than people think. I think they bounce back. I like Iowa State. This game will be low scoring too. It could be another overtime game, but I'm going to go Iowa State, just a feeling. Florida and Kentucky. Florida, even though they beat my good team in Miami, they were a little messy. They bounced back, played Tennessee Martin last week, big win, as it should be. Kentucky lost a lot of talent through the draft. Are they the same? They're 2-0, haven't played the best competition yet. It's in Kentucky. Really, they could win, but I got to go with the Gators here. I got to go with the Gators. And Florida State and Virginia, Florida State just has not, they've just been disappointing. Just disappointing. The defense mainly, the tackling in the secondary is just, it's brutal. But really all over the place that they could be better. The offense is scoring. They're putting up some points. They got some playmakers on offense. Virginia finally is ranked 25. I think they should have been ranked before the season started. They got loads of talent on that Virginia team, offense and defense. I like Virginia in this game, especially at home. Should be no problem, but I guess you never know. But I think Virginia's an underrated team. Clemson and Syracuse, we're going to go with Clemson. Number 1 team in the country. Syracuse got pounded by Maryland last week. I'm glad I picked Maryland in that one, but didn't think Maryland was that good. They're legit. Texas Tech and Arizona, maybe one of the tougher ones of the week. This definitely will be a shootout in Arizona. Both defenses very weak. I'm going to go, in a shootout, you got to go with the better offense. It's just tough to, I think, even though Khalil Tate, I like Khalil Tate, Texas Tech, I think is a better offense. I think they're the better offense. Trust them a little more. I might go with that one with the 1 confidence, and we're going to go with Iowa State with the 1 confidence right off the bat. Kansas State, Mississippi State, we're going to go with the 2. The Texas Tech game, we're going to go with the 3. We're probably going to move Ohio State all the way up to, I was going to put them at 1, but Clemson's got to be 1. Alabama, I'm actually going to put Alabama, I meant 10. Clemson at 10. Alabama at 9. Ohio State at 8. Then we got, I guess these ones are tough. Virginia, Florida State, Florida, Kentucky, USC, BYU, Stanford, and UCF. Going to move this one down here. I like USC. This USC team looks pretty darn good right now. They're cruising. Virginia over Florida State. Yeah, I'm pretty confident on that one. Florida, Central Florida. I might bump that one up a little more. Stanford's just too beat up, so bump that up a little more. That's what I'm feeling confident about. I think there's a score prediction. Ooh. I don't think Syracuse will get beat as bad as they did to Maryland. Does that mean I think Maryland's better than Clemson? No. But I just don't think they get beat as bad. Clemson will hold them to less points. They may put backups in early. I'm going to go 49-10 on my final score prediction. Clemson Tigers win it. We're going to take a look at some of the other games still that they didn't put on here. Just going to go to the scores. Shows the top 25 for this upcoming week. If it'll load, Washington State at Houston. That actually should be a good one. Washington State's minus 8.5. That should be a good one. Houston really could get going here. That's a tough one to pick. I'm glad that I'm surprised. Oh, it's on Friday. That's why it's not on there. I'll take Washington State, but that's going to be a good game. Notre Dame's got their beat-up game against New Mexico. I expect them to win. They're minus 35.5. I don't know if they win by that. Yeah, they should. They got Georgia next week, so these two teams got their beat-up games. Georgia and Arkansas State. They played Murray State last week. Now they get Arkansas State. Interesting scheduling. They're minus 33. Yeah, I think Georgia will cover that one. Ohio State, Indiana. We talked about Pittsburgh and Penn State. That actually could be closer than you think. I'd still go with Penn State. Maryland's they're gonna romp Temple. They're gonna romp them. Maryland looks good. They should be better than number 21. They look good. Alabama and South Carolina. We talked about Stanford's. Arizona State, Michigan State rematch from last year. I'm not really sold on this Michigan State team being 18. I don't know if they're that good. I still think they'll win this game. Minus 13.5. I don't know about that much. Benjamin from Arizona State could run wild in that game, but isn't enough, though, to win that game. I'd say Michigan State, but not by 13.5. Utah will beat up Idaho State. Auburn will beat up Kent State. Wow, a lot of soft scheduling here. A&M all over Lamar. And then we got LSU all over Northwestern State. How about Joe Burrow last week? That was ridiculous. Ridiculous game out of him. Looked like a first-round quarterback there. It looked like that game alone, obviously it's based off more than one game. Just basically, if you had to base it off that game, he looks like the first overall pick. If that continues, it's ridiculous. Washington over Hawaii. Disappointing loss for Washington against Cal last week. They had a blackout in that game. Virginia, we talked about that game. Oklahoma, UCLA. No chance UCLA upsets them. No chance Rice beats a lot of beat-up games. Boise over Portland State. Oregon over Montana. Oregon decided to run it up last week against Nevada. They learned their lesson. Maybe against Auburn, they went conservative, stopped throwing downfield. Maybe that's because they're who they know they're playing, but they were able to run it up and just keep throwing the ball against Nevada, who's not the worst team. So I think Oregon, if they did that, kept throwing the ball downfield, they would have beat Auburn in week 1, but they kind of blew it there. So that's the other games. Last week was much better. Well, I thought Clemson A&M would be a lot better than it was, but still better than a lot of games that are coming this week. And LSU and Texas was a great game. Really enjoyed watching that game. Joe Burrow was fun. Texas was good too. That game was great. Want more of those. We're gonna do the power rankings on Friday. That's a video for every Friday. We're packed with NFL videos the rest of the week leading up to them. And hopefully you can join us for all that. Click that subscribe button. Thanks everyone for the support. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.